welcome to Idle Talk. I'm gonna keep talking, but I didn't mute my phone, so we're gonna have fun with that. Today we're gonna be a little bit serious. We're gonna be talking about something that I'm sure everyone deals with here and there, and we're just gonna be talking about imposter syndrome and my personal experiences with it, and just pretty much how do I explain it? But the thing, the imposter syndrome thing that kind of people goes to. So when it comes to me and how I deal with it and how it affects me, my imposter syndrome really just causes a lack of confidence in myself, and it makes me think that I'm not good at what I'm doing, or I'm not good enough, or that I don't deserve to be in the positions that I'm in. So that's how it kind of, has a hold on me, where it just, sometimes it's in the back of my mind, and, I gotta work it out pretty much. I gotta think about that, all the things that I've done leading up to the present moment, and be like, no, I've put in my time, I've put in the work, I've put in the effort to be extremely successful in the positions that I am in. And so it's hard enough kind of, being the firstborn, and also kind of trying to set an example, but also kind of try to figure it out along the way. Because I do have a younger sister, but and a younger brother as well, but two different parts of my family. But it's hard to kind of just try to be like the example, because a lot of people have family members that when you get together, they ask you what you're doing, or they ask you how you are, and they ask you if you got a good job yet, or if you have X, Y, and Z. And that in itself can kind of be intimidating and unhelpful sometimes, even though they're genuinely curious and genuinely want the best for you and want to know how you're doing. But oftentimes it ends up being a comparison battle, and I'm not with that. Yeah, I don't really like to compare myself with other people, and then try to compare myself to family members. That doesn't sit well with me. I'm fortunate enough to have a very few cousins, so it's not hard, and we're all pretty much scattered and far apart. And so it's really not useful to compare, because it's I'm only 24 years old and my cousin is 35, so what kind of comparison is that when they've got 10 years ahead of me? So dealing with imposter syndrome sometimes is pretty hard. Sometimes that shit will take me out of my day. I'll wake up one day and I'll be like, fuck, I don't want to go to work, I don't want to do XYZ, I literally am unable to. It's, for me, it takes me out the entire day, and I'm still working on it. I'm not allowing it to do so. It's something that I have to put in time and effort to try and be better at not letting it win sometimes, because sometimes you gotta let that shit win, because I'll be battling hard, and then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, fuck, shit, I give up. Please just take me out, imposter syndrome, please, because at the end of the day, it's I just want to be in my bed the whole day, and you're literally giving me a million reasons why I should and I shouldn't continue to kind of work towards the things that I want to accomplish. Sometimes it can have a win here and there, but let's remember that, that's just a battle on a day. Let's not let it win the war entirely, as we, kind of compare it to an actual war, there's multiple battles in it. But, let it, sometimes we can let it win, and then just recognize that, tomorrow we have to beat it back. Some of the things that I do on a daily basis, not just particularly when it comes to imposter syndrome, is kind of when I have tasks to do, I write them out just kind of like everybody else. But I also, instead of whenever I feel overwhelmed or I feel it coming up, I just ultimately look at what I've accomplished, whether it be that day, that week, that month, or that entire year. What did I accomplish? And that kind of helps me reset myself and gets me back into a position where I can settle down and ultimately go about my day how it needs to be, go about my day how I need it to be, and accomplish the things that I have to accomplish. But ultimately, when I have a checklist, I break it down into multiple items. And whenever I feel overwhelmed, I'm not good enough. I'm like, wow, look at all this shit that I've accomplished today. So let's keep it pushing. Let's move forward. Let's celebrate ourselves in the moment. And celebrating yourself helps when it comes up. When imposter syndrome comes up, it helps you like infinitely. I know it helps me a lot, and I'm forever like appreciative of like when I'm able to appreciate myself. Like I look back on it, I'm like, oh, I can't believe that day was pretty fucking rough. Especially when I reread my notebook. Like sometimes I will write down. I have my periods when I write things down and when I don't. And sometimes when I look back on it, I'm like, wow, I was really feeling some type of way that day. Or I was like, wow, I was really feeling myself that day. And I can appreciate the past Fernando on how he went about things and how he accomplished things that day. And not to like toot my own horn, but sometimes the past me motivates myself in the present, if that makes any sense, or if that's not a bad thing, a toxic thing to think about. But sometimes I look at myself and then I read something to myself that I wrote, and I'm like, damn, you're doing a good job, but I gotta be better than you now. Like, I don't know if it's like my God complex or whatever, but I'm self-motivated by myself, if that makes any sense, really. But I just I look at a good day that I've had maybe like 6 months ago, and I think like, wow, I'm amazing. Like, I can't believe I did that shit. Like, I'm like, who's better than me? I laugh about it now, but in the moment though, I'm like really, really thinking that. I'm like, yo, I'm the fucking best. Like, ain't nobody touching me. Ain't nobody doing shit how I do it. And like, you ain't finding another one of me, okay? Like if you lost me professionally, romantically, however you want to put it, you're not finding me again, right? And I think that, and then I kind of like settle down and humble myself a little bit. I'm like, all right, guy, relax. Like, let's focus on what's ahead, not what's in the past, okay? And so I have my days where I have my imposter syndrome, and then I have my days where I'm thinking I'm freaking a god amongst humans. Like, so there definitely needs to be a healthy strike, between the two. Like, I need to be able to, have confidence, but also, have humility in that, but also not be scared of things, or not be scared that I'm not doing things well. And it's a balance that needs to be struck, for sure, 100%. Working on it, I tell you that right now. I say it into the microphone that I'm working on it, just because sometimes saying things out loud like makes it real, right? I can just write down on my little iPad or on my phone like what I'm doing, what I'm working on, blah blah blah. I write down in that book, but sometimes that book isn't even back there. I don't know why it turned around. I don't know where my book is, but just sometimes you gotta write it down, say it to yourself, like, I'm amazing. I put in a lot of work to be amazing, and I will continue to put work in to stay amazing or be even more amazing. And fuck imposter syndrome. I know a lot of people go through it, and me especially. Like, I literally sometimes just sit there in my own brain just being like, you sure you could do it? You sure you can handle that? Or when I'm applying to jobs, it's like, are you sure you're good enough for that? Or when people ask me advice, I always end my advice with, it's up to you though, right? Or it's like, that's just my opinion. Or like I invalidate my expertise, even though I may not think I have expertise in whatever they're asking me. Especially when it comes to things that I actively do, like social media, editing, podcasting, like things like that, or sports, any kind of sports question, like not even like trivial things, but like how, structurally how things work, how, the content calendars kind of work and things like that. And I'm just like, oh, well, that's me though, like that's just my opinion. Or, I invalidate myself when I give good information. I work on not doing that. I work on just like, fuck it, let's take that chance, because it's scary, right? Somebody asks you for an opinion and then you give them one and then they do it, bro. That is the scariest thing ever. It's like, shit, what if that fails, right? Like, what if I gave them the wrong shit to do? What if I messed up? Like, what if I don't know anything really, and I'm just fucking faking it till I make it? Because 90% of the time, that's what I do. I end up in situations where I'm like, wow, I scammed my way all the way up in here, but now I gotta actually like show up. I gotta do things now. So it's interesting for me, and I hope it's something that other people do. I hope I'm not just like really literally faking shit into like until it makes sense, or like taking a chance until it makes sense. Like I literally like risk a lot of things because I fake it till I make it, or I try to downplay myself, or I try to invalidate myself and my expertise. So that's something else that truly I deal with on a daily basis for sure. Like I'm literally here, I'm like so inspired to record episodes and to edit them. I've never been this happy doing the podcast, and so far, right? I've never been this happy doing the podcast and editing the clips. Like, oh man, that thing just gets overwhelming. Like I have like, what would I want to describe it as? I have a second wind pretty much. It's like, we're back in it. We're recording. I want to just, preface that like I was having fun doing the podcast before. It is a lot of work, really. Like for a one-man team, especially when we used to be a 2-person team or a 3-person team, and it was like, well, I could share the burden with other people and like talk about the hardships and the struggles that like it kind of goes into, like putting in the work into this and coming up with ideas. It's one thing coming up with ideas with multiple people or another person, but when you do it by yourself and you have to sit up by yourself and do things by yourself, it's like, oh shit, I gotta do this. It's like a 14 step checklist that needs to happen to kind of make this possible, the show possible. And I now, damn, that motorcycle was loud as fuck, but I now kind of am like loving doing it by myself now. It's like before it was like, another person would be helpful, another person would be nice, to kind of gauge things and do things. But now I'm kind of more like, I tell somebody something and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna do this, just so I myself and now put on the spot that I've told somebody that there's something that I want to do, and then I have to go out and do it. And I kind of challenge myself that way, as opposed to only putting it on my schedule, on my calendar, and like scheduling it in. So yeah, man, that's how like I've been dealing with that. I'm inspired, I'm motivated. I may not sound it, I try to talk, kind of like low and chill, and that's the kind of vibe I want to bring to the podcast. I want people to kind of throw it on and just let it play in the background. Yeah, I mean, what else do I have in my brain that I can kind of talk about? I already know what I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to lie to you. I have it written down, but I'm trying to segue into it. But let's talk about failing. So failure is a different kind of thing to talk about, because it's acknowledging that things didn't go your way, right? And I just kind of want to talk about how to like dealing with failure, right? I think the most important thing that you can get from something quote unquote failing is like, what did we learn, right? How can we bring something positive to the table throughout this situation? And so let's say you didn't accomplish a goal that you wanted to accomplish, right? Whatever it may be, because I think the sentiment remains the same. You have to look at it and dissect it as like, why didn't it work? Let's not not assign blame per se, but let's also kind of like be real with ourselves for a moment. Even if you assess the situation by yourself, be real with yourself and say, why didn't it work? Was it because I did this, I did that, I didn't do this, I didn't do that? Whether it be personal or professional goals, like we have to understand that ultimately lies on us. We have to do those things. We have to do the necessary steps that it takes in order to accomplish certain things. So if I want to make $1,000 this month, right? Like extra as of what I make, right? What are the things that I need to do in order to accomplish that, right? And if I don't get it, like, okay, what could I have done differently? That's something I really wanted to do, but what could I do differently? What could have gone better? Like what went wrong, first of all? And, assess the situation for what it really is, for what it is in front of you. And so that's just something. Failure, just remember that you ultimately gain something from failure, whether it be motivation, as you should, as whenever you fail at something, you should be motivated to A, either try it again, or B, try something else, do something else, come back to that goal that you had. We've got X amount of time on this planet, right? So, put it to the side a little bit, do something else, get your momentum up, get your motivation up, and then, try it again, and see if you get it a second time. But ultimately, you should be taking something positive out of a negative. And that's just, what I think. There we go, invalidating my own opinion kind of in that segue. Now, I want to pose a question, right? And I'm going to answer it after I ask it, but I got it written down over here. Do you think failure, blah, 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 blah. Do people who are scared of failure their whole lives end up experiencing more or less than people who aren't scared of failing? Why? Right. So now it's a loaded question. It's supposed to, you're supposed to think about it, right? Are people who aren't scared fail more, or do people who are scared of failing fail more? I'm in the camp that people who are scared of failing ultimately do fail more at things that they want to accomplish. And here's why, in my opinion. A lot of people say, you attract what you think, right? You attract what you say. A good way to attract things are to speak it into existence and to think about it, write down, whatever, right? And if we ultimately have this lingering feeling of failure in ourselves, what are we going to get out of it, right? What's going to ultimately happen? Are we going to be super successful at everything we do because we take no risks and we take very calculated, very, on the nose kind of challenges and ideas? No. Ultimately, being safe and risk-free is ultimately going to attract things that aren't safe or risk-free. And I believe that if you take the fear of failure, crumble it up, but put it to the side. Don't throw it away, right? Because sometimes we kind of need that little natural instinct to be like, okay, that's a possibility. But ultimately, I think that you should not be so scared of failure because, like I said earlier, there's something positive to be gained from that negative experience, and that's either a lesson, that's either, again, motivation, or more experience along the journey. Because ultimately, if you were good at everything every single time, your life wouldn't be that amazing. It's just everything fell into place so perfectly, and ultimately, do we want to hear that? We love a good climb, we love a good success story, we love a good battle. And ultimately, the end result is something positive that you've been working your whole life towards, or your X amount of time towards. And so I ultimately believe that the people who are afraid of failure ultimately do fail more in life. And that's because they're attracting what they fear. It's on their mind, maybe constantly, or, a good amount of time. But the people who are fearless, or quote unquote fearless, or just aware that failure is a thing and not necessarily scared of failing, I think those people are often more successful in life than the people who aren't. So that's just my take on that particular question. Ultimately, I think that we shouldn't try to avoid failure in life. It's something that as easy as breathing, right? Just be aware that eventually things are going to happen that may not suit what you want to do. But ultimately, we have to recognize that is something that's a part of life. It's as easy as the oxygen outside. Both success and failure is something we don't have to do. It's something that naturally comes to us, whether we want to or not. And I think that as long as we're aware of that, of it being a major part of our life, then we can do better. We can experience more personal growth towards it. It really, really helps us develop as a person. Think of it as everybody has that main character syndrome. Think of it as your training arc, or as your coming, what was it? I don't know what they used to say it in English class. Coming of age, right? That's something they used to say. But think of it as that moment. I was these step backs are propelling you to go forward. But I digress. Let's move on to something that I did over the weekend. So I had plans this weekend, right? And ultimately, they shifted and they changed. And, I had to bounce around how I do. We adapt, we overcome. But I was at this restaurant with this person. And I'm not going to say who. But I was there and they brought bread, as, restaurants usually do. But they brought the bread. The bread was good as fuck, first of all. Bread was amazing. It was really, really good. It was like a everything bagel kind of bread, if that makes sense. So we were eating the bread, right? Finally, we get our orders in and the food comes, and so they're like, can I take away the bread? I was like, yeah, sure. So he's picking up my plate, so I'm thinking in my head, damn, it's kind of crummy over here. It's kind of a little bit messy. And and the other person's side was kind of clean. And I was like, shit. Like, throughout the whole time, I was trying to clean it like subtly, little by little. And then the guy takes up the bread and with the plate, and then as he moves the plate, this person put all their garbage around the plate, kind of to hide it. Well, or I don't know if it was intentional or not, but then he takes the bread. I was like, damn, there's a mess over there. I said that shit mad loud. And the waiter started laughing, and I was like, yo, you was hiding it? Like, that shit was the funniest thing I've like experienced in that kind of setting. And I was like, oh, that's fucking hilarious. And then the guy cleans it up, and I was like, damn, you was messy, huh? But in just the defense of just myself for my mess that was visible, and then their mess, it's just like the bread was very flaky. I'm not gonna lie to you, and it was very fluffy, so it was kind of hard to cut with the knife that they provided us, because it was more like for meat, that knife. But that was literally the funniest thing I experienced that day. Throughout the night, like, the conversation was good and it was amazing. That was the funniest part of the night for me. It was just like, you're human too. Look at your fucking mess. And so that's where I'll end the episode at. You know, it's a short episode. I hope you guys, I'm gonna say this, I hope you guys enjoyed Friday's episode. I hope there's an episode on Friday. It's a special bonus episode. We're talking Jamie Lynn Spears and Britney Spears, you know, on, you know, the Call Her Daddy interview that they had, you know, not they, because Britney wasn't on it, but like, you know, Jamie Lynn Spears was on it with Alex Cooper. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope it does come out, because it was supposed to come out today, the day of the recording, but it's going to come out later tonight, unfortunately, but I'll have to get on that after this. But I hope you enjoyed this week's Idle Talk. Remember, guys, join the Discord, join the subreddit, like, just join. I have to do a lot of work on those things to kind of build up the community aspect of the podcast, but follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok at Idle Talk Pod, follow us on Twitter, Idle Talk Pod with a 0. Spotify has new ratings, so go out there and rate us 5 stars on Spotify. It's going to really help us out. And, you know, continue to listen on Apple Podcasts. I know you guys love to listen there. But other than that, I'm Fernando, and I'll see you next week. Peace.